one of the things that really inspires us is to know the truth. What is the truth? Why are we here? What's the purpose of us being on this earth? If we look at back in the history, 50,000 years ago, the murals and the pictures from the caves that we see today, they all depict that there was some spiritual inclination of the human beings during that time as well. And as we progress through the evolutionary path, when we look at even 10,000 years ago, when humans just start still living in the villages and leaving the nomadic life on the side, at that time when we see the formal formation of religious thought, from there till all the way till about 1,000 years ago, we can see there has been, as the sophistication of human life occurred, so did the sophistication of thought of religious thought. And this is very well documented in terms of there was religious practices which are based on idolism, and there was certain thought where it was focused on through meditation you can reach to a peace, certain level of peace, but it was all geared towards knowing the truth of their version of the truth. As we progressed through, there was another way of looking at things was science, which is looking at having an observation and learning through those observations about the happenings of this creation. When we look at from all the way from finding, searching for fire to having a wheel, and all the way to about 100 years ago, 150 years ago, we can see there was a gradual progress in the field of science, but the fundamental question was same, which is, what is the truth of this creation? What is the truth? That was a leading edge of science, and today is the same thing. About in mid-1850s, the scientists figured out there is something called an atom, which is, atom is, at that time they figured it out, there's something called atom, which is a basic, smallest ingredient of this matter. And once they figured that out, they were saying, we're very close to finding the truth. We found the basic ingredient, Thomson. He figured out there's something called an electron. And they were saying, oh, we found something that's even smaller than atom. And as we progressed further, another 10 years later, there was a gentleman called Rutherford, and he found something called as proton. And I said, well, we found something else as well. Maybe we're getting closer to the reality now. Another 30, 40 years passed by. There was a gentleman called as James Chadwick. He founded something called a neutron, which is also a smaller part of atom, which is an ingredient of an atom. They say, see, we are on the right path. We know the truth is going to happen. We're going to find the truth very soon. Once we figure this out, we will know the truth of this creation. Well, 60s came, went, 80s came, something called a string theory showed up. So string theory threw everything out. They said, no. There's another way of looking at this creation, which is that whole matter, everything in this matter is a small, there's a one simple ingredient in this creation, and that's this single straight ingredient vibrates at different frequencies. And these different frequencies makes it all what we see. So you see the story being repeated over and over again in science. As we find something, that we go look for something else, we look for something else, we look for something else. We are at the place where string theory is being challenged as well with a different quantum physics aspect of theories. So this is a science. This is an evolution of science in like Cole's note version of evolution of science. Since the beginning of mankind, or the evolution of mankind, we have gone through the different phases of religious evolution. It was in about 550 years ago, Akal Purkh did a great kirpa on this earth, and Dhan Sahib Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sache Pasha came to this earth and to help the creation with the right path. Prior to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, as we know, most of the religious thought was about rituals, are aligned about rituals, or or they were focused on finding a peace through meditation. And once the certain person reaches a certain level of peace, that was considered to be and finding the truth. But it was totally new concept when Guru Nanak Dev Ji came. It was first time when Guru Nanak Dev Ji explained us, look, finding the truth or search for the truth and living a religious life is one and same thing. There's no difference. How did he start? How did he did that? First, he explained us what is God. He gives a definition of God. And we all know our Mool Mantra, God is one. It's true, it's not a philosophical thought. It existed by itself. And we all know the concept of Mool Mantra. Guru Sahib explained us something else as well. That's this creation that we see is made by God, and in this creation, God exists itself as well. And another very important thing he mentioned is that the basic ingredient of this creation is God himself, which is kind of a unique concept when you look at it. How does God prevails in this creation? Through something called his Naam. How do we know this? Because Guru Sahib said it very clearly in Asakivar, Apine aap sajyo, apine rachyo. Now, what happens after that? Dui kudrat sajiye, karasan ditto chao. So, which is that Akal Purukh created Naam, and Naam, the basic ingredient of this creation, and the form of Naam, Akal Purukh resides within this creation, which is great. But what about us? Then Guru Sahib went one step further up. Remember we were talking about, Guru Sahib started the concept with the purpose of this life is knowing the truth. So Guru Sahib explained as, okay, now I explained to you about Naam. Now how does an average person get to this Naam? How does one person search this truth? Guru Sahib explained us that as well. That is, we call his Sache Pasha is an absolute teacher. When we look in Japji Sahib, there's a tuk that comes, Sunya, Manya, Man Kita Pao, Antargat, Tirath Malnao. And when you look at that tuk, it kind of adjusts and the whole journey of searching the truth. The first step Guru Sahib talks about is Sunya, that is listening. Second is Manya, that is accepting what we hear. Number 3 is Man Ki Tapa, which is you love that understanding, which is you bring your life into it, you live that life. And what's going to happen? All our vices, the vices which is not letting us see the truth of this nature creation, they will all go away. So basically, it's a process Guru Sahib given us straight up. So we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into it and see how does it actually works in the life of an individual or a seeker who's searching the truth, who's looking for the truth. First step Guru Sahib is saying is listening. Now listening is very important. Now listening is different than hearing. Listening must be so important that actually Guru Sahib had said those in 4 pauriyan, give 4 pauriyan to listening in Japji Sahib. It must be utmost importance. That's the reason Guru Sahib spent so much time in that Bani. So there's a difference in listening and hearing. So everyone here, most of us, is hearing, which is when I'm speaking, everyone is absorbing that, comparing with what they already know, the paradigms and their own experience, and learning through that interaction. But then there is listening. Listening is absolute, without any interpretation. You're just listening a concept. You're listening something. And that can only happen when our ego is totally dispelled. How do we know this? When we sit in Kirtan or apne Kirtan Smagam de vich, that is an act of listening we are trying to do. we are letting that message come and sink inside us without any of our own personal paradigms or our own personal interpretations. If we can do that, that is absolute listening. That's one aspect of listening. That will dispel our some of the misconceptions we have about ourselves and the reality. But there's another listening Guru Sahib is talking about, which is extremely important, and where it says, "Sunaya Siddh Pir Surnath." So when Guru Sahib is saying that by this listening, you can have a same understanding of nature as Siddhs and the superhuman beings had. Just to give example of who Siddhs were, or they still are, these were the people who could defy the nature, who could defy the space and time. They could fly up in the air. They can do superhuman tasks. It's not a hocus pocus stuff. I want you to go on YouTube, and there is actually a video by National Geographic of a Buddha boy. The video was made in 2009. So this person, he was in Nepal, and he vowed to sit for 2 years without food. 2 years. So when National Geographic went there, the team went there, this young boy was already sitting for 6 months. That's what it was. His caretakers mentioned that he's been sitting for 6 months, and they jumped through various hoops, and they put the camera on for 24 hours straight up, and the camera ran for 8 days. And in those 8 days, this boy didn't sleep, didn't get up, didn't drink, didn't eat, and he was sitting. And he was sitting right inside the fire. You can see that in the video. So this is these are the special energies you can get through meditation. But what is Guru Sahib talking about? If you listen, you can get all these powers. So what is this listening, what Guru Sahib is talking about? That listening is listening a Guru Mantra. The strength of Guru Mantra, when we listen to that sound of Guru Mantra while living our life according to what Gurbani has told us, that has a strength of dispelling all our doubts, all our vices, all our paradigms. What will happen? This listening will become so deep that we can actually listen to the primal sound of this creation. The primal sound, which is Nam itself, the basic ingredient of this creation. This sound of Guru Mantra has strength to take us to that sound, which is Nam. This Nam Abhyas that we do has a strength of taking us to sound of the Anhad Bani or Shabad Jinu Apa Kehne hain. And this is a state of listening. By just listening, we can do this. And what else happened along with that? What Gurbani tells us. This is not an intellectual learning. It's an experiential learning. When we are experiencing this sound of Nam, it's an experiential learning, experiential being into this realm. What else happens along with that? What Guru Sahib mentions. And also many Gursikhs who did this journey. Intrinsically, you understand the nature in the much deeper level. Why are things the way they are? Why space-time is the way it is? How is this Earth, stars, solar system, galaxies, they are in the way they are? We get intrinsic understanding about it. This is just by listening to Gurbani, living our life through Gurbani, and also listening to Guru Mantra. So I want to look at quickly where we started from. Our initial discussion was search for the truth. So here, if whole evolution of science, which started in 250,000 years ago when Homo sapiens actually became the way we are today, that journey till today, if we can put our mind into Gursikhi, we can have all that learning within one lifetime. Isn't that amazing? That search of truth that mankind has done, has spent so much effort and time, we can learn that within one lifetime. We can experience it within one lifetime. One of the things that really inspires us is to know the truth. What is the truth? Why are we here? What's the purpose of us being on this earth? If we look at back in the history,